We go. Alrighty. Actually, y'all can y'all see y'all's pictures on there? Probably so. Let's see.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there we go. That's probably better. Okay. Alrighty. So, going to be taking a look today at really about how we can work better in these remote environments that we've all kind of been forced into. It's a topic that's kind of floated around off and on for years in different ways. And, folks are always trying to find ways to work more productively. But let's face it, sitting down in an actual conference room together is oftentimes a lot more productive than these type meetings. It's so much easier when you can just go knock on someone's door and get an update about where they're at on the project. You can take a look at it on the board with them. This is a really different environment, and we've been in it for a while, and it looks like we're probably going to have to be in it for a while further. But there also might be some advantages that we can take and keep with us once the world kind of gets back to whatever the new normal we settle into is. So we'll take a look at a few things here. Just give you a little bit on my background. Obviously, I've got several different Microsoft certifications, certified lead auditor for 9001. I've done work with Tenaris University, so we're actually authorized trainers for them. Set up with not ASQ, but AQS as a trainer there as well. Of course, got my OSHA 10, OSHA 30, HAZWOPER 40. So I've had a really weird background. But that's led us to doing some really fun stuff here with Texas Quality. And it's led us to find some really unique and innovative ways that folks can work together. Because let's face it, most of the IT guys that we kind of need to talk to get all of these things to work together don't really have any clue about what we do. Heck, let's face it, most of the folks that are in the company really have no clue what we do in the quality world. But definitely talking with the IT side of things, sometimes it's a little difficult. So we've had the benefit of really being able to bring a lot of those different skills and disciplines under one roof. So as we are a Microsoft Cloud Solutions provider, Microsoft partner, we're going to be looking at things through the lens of Office 365 and now more specifically Microsoft 365. They've had a little bit of a rebranding in there, but the terms are still pretty much interchangeable. So we'll be looking at it from that perspective. And part of the reason we're going to be doing that is the vast majority of you are probably actually using Office 365 already in your organization, whether you're aware of it or not. In addition to that, it's really cheap to get into it. The entry cost is incredibly low. I remember as a systems administrator, it used to cost thousands of dollars to get onto these volume license agreements and to get some of the earlier versions of these really, really awesome tools that we've got today. We're talking about 10 to 15 bucks a month to do it now on an individual basis. So to say that the cost and the entry price has plummeted is about the understatement of the century. So, we kind of already went through this, but Texas Quality Assurance, the goal from absolute day one of what we do and everything we try to teach and offer and everything we're talking about in today's presentation is geared towards saving time and energy for what matters most. This really came about for me because I was just sick of myself because I missed too many of my kids' Little League games. And I just knew that there had to be a better way to do it. And so that's kind of all of this got started back in 2013. So we do have a podcast. Definitely encourage anyone to go check it out. I do have a PDF of today's presentation that maybe we can get sent out, and it's got the hyperlinks and all the good information you need in there. But the podcast is just tons of fun, and it's myself, my wife. Darcy has really no experience in the quality or manufacturing oil and gas world prior to the podcast. But it makes for a real fun dynamic. She has a background in education, is actually certified to be a principal, so at a school principal. So it makes for a fun balance there. But kind of getting to what we're doing today, give you a brief outline of kind of how things are going to go. To help you understand a lot about these tools in 365 and how you can really leverage them for your organization. And to be clear, Office 365 is not the only provider that has similar tools. You'll find very similar tools out there with like a Google. They've got a whole suite of documents or applications out there. I do find that working with 365 has a lot of benefits because it is as close to a universal platform that you can find today. You'll be hard pressed to find anyone that can't open up a web browser or a Microsoft Word document. So to be clear, though, today is not necessarily going to be a tutorial on these tools, although I'm very happy to sit down and chat with folks offline or a different time to go through some of the ways that these can help you out. So please do hit me up if you got questions. But I just want to give you a good overview of what's out there and really how it can help you and help your team and work just tremendously more effectively in this remote environment. To be clear, here at Texas Quality Assurance, the only ones that actually office together are myself and my wife. And to be honest, now with this virtual school as it is, she's working from home with the kids. So really everything we do between us, our sales staff, auditors, software developers, everything's remote. No one actually sits down in the office together. And I can't say that's necessarily as a result of COVID. That's just kind of how we've evolved to operate. So again, I want to try to bring some of those tools and tips and ideas out there to you. We're going to watch a little bit of a demo video. I've gone ahead and pre-recorded it because, well, let's face it, a lot of folks are having bandwidth issues. Internet's kind of clunky here and there. So I want to make sure that we got you a good demo video through the upload. I've also put a copy of that on YouTube. So when you get this PDF, you can just click it and watch that video there as well. And then we'll do a little bit of a Q&A at the end there. So this is kind of life for us in the last few months, right? So Lord knows that I've tried to work from home. I actually worked out in the garage for the first couple of months of this wonderful COVID outbreak. And, you know, my daughter decided that she wanted to start catching lizards. So by the time she showed me the third lizard she caught during a sales call, I finally decided I had to get back to the office and try to get back to a little bit better normal. So we're talking about the cloud. This is one of those terms that gets tossed around. No one really understands. I'd say not no one. Lots of folks don't really understand what it is. The short version of the cloud is it's really just someone else's server. In the case of Microsoft 365 or larger services like AWS, which, to be honest, on the back end is largely powered by Microsoft, to Google, you name it, there are these huge server farms. And they actually do a lot that you can't do on your own home network or even your corporate network for most small to medium-sized businesses. And I speak personally, having been the systems and network administrator for these type businesses before, even working in a larger hospital environment. The security, the affordability, the scalability of these cloud providers just really far outweighs what most of us could do in our own organizations. So let's make the best use of those tools that are out there. And, you know, there's something to notice. There's really no single cloud out there. It's kind of like the clouds in the sky. There's all the little different ones. Sometimes they can merge together and move around. But, you know, some of them really bright and shiny, and some of them are kind of dark and not so great. But if you're looking to move to the cloud, it is important to talk to whoever's educating you on such things, really understand whose cloud it is, what platform it is, and who they're working with. But again, for today, we're just looking at Microsoft. So some weird terms that get thrown in here that kind of confuse folks is this idea of native apps versus traditional apps, then all of the other tons of apps that they have out there. For a real quick history lesson on how Office 365 and now Microsoft 365 kind of came to be, is it started out with what they called the Pro Plus platform. Because systems administrators like myself, we really, 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 truly hate purchasing individual license keys for everyone in the office. You know, simple stuff like you put it on someone's laptop and they leave, and maybe they leave with a laptop, or maybe they brought their personal computer to work. And so it's really hard to keep up those individual license keys. So all of this kind of started because, well, systems administrators just need a better way to keep track of it. Then they started finding fun ways that we could offload some of this to Microsoft services. And so that's where we're at today. So the native apps are basically the online version of all the stuff you're normally used to using, right? Your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, What's really cool about these is it means if you're on an iOS device, maybe it's a Mac, an Android or a Galaxy phone, like whatever device you're on, it doesn't matter. All of these native apps, they just run off of your web browser. So you can open up your Word documents, you can open up your spreadsheets, you can open up all the stuff straight from really any web browser. You'll see in the demo that we actually use Google Chrome for it. So lots of fun stuff to look at there. They're also added a whole suite of fun stuff in there as well. So things like SharePoint and OneDrive, which we'll get into, Planner, Forms, all sorts of fun stuff. On the very back end of it, though, it's still the stuff where we're kind of used to. You got your, normal email, Exchange account, and SharePoint kind of run the show in the back end. But it's a lot of fun. So a few things going on with Microsoft now. They're actually starting to get, since I even put this together, they've decided to get rid of Skype for Business, and it's actually going to be fully moved over to Teams, and we'll look at some of that as well. But the beautiful thing is that if you embrace these cloud providers such as this, you may have had a server room full of $100,000 worth of equipment. Well, now, guys, you can access every last bit of that more securely, easier, faster, and cheaper on your phone. And this is a heck of a lot smaller than the server room I used to maintain. Lord knows this phone doesn't need all the air conditioning that did. So some of what we'll look at today is how these tools kind of integrate and work together, which I absolutely love. Everyone kind of wants that one app to rule them all. Well, unfortunately, that will probably never exist. We can do a whole lot to bring everything together under at least one roof to look at and work with, ways that folks can build new information, share more information with others, really organize the team from what to-do list you have, what tasks you have, who's it's assigned to, reminders, you name it. And again, there's no VPN, there's no remote server, and it works on pretty much any device. It's just hard to beat. So the last one that we'll take a look at here, we actually don't spend a whole lot of time on, and I'll save it for the end of the demo, but is Microsoft Teams. The beautiful thing about Teams is that it truly can be used to integrate everything under a single roof, whether you're talking about SharePoint sites, even external information. You'll see in the demo that we use our CRM as a HubSpot, and so we can integrate HubSpot into it. We can bring everything into a single roof. The number one problem that you have with new software deployments is getting your users on board. If the end user, in this case, the members of your team, whether your team is 5 people or 50 or 100, if you can't get them engaged in using the tools, it's not going to matter. So tools like this, when properly utilized, make it so incredibly easy to get your folks on board, and that is what your primary concern needs to be. So we will take a moment here and we will go through the demo. Like I said, I've got it pre-recorded and I got the link up there and a copy loaded in YouTube, where we're going to look at SharePoint, some of the differences in the native and traditional apps, Microsoft Planner, one of my favorite tools, Forms, OneDrive, just lots of great stuff, and how you can use these today in your organization with little to no training or effort. And here we go.
I personally love to use Microsoft Office 365 for productivity, for collaboration, for all of these great team building tools, especially in this post-COVID remote work world that we're in. To be honest, I think that if we can begin to integrate a lot of these tools and techniques into our daily lives, as things kind of shift back to normal over the next few months, we'll have a lot of great takeaways with it as well. So we're focusing on Microsoft Office and the Microsoft Office 365 specifically here. Doesn't mean it's the only set of tools out there, but in our experience, it is the most complete and comprehensive set of tools available. So we're going to dive in and look at a number of the features that are available through 365. The fact that we can have these meetings virtually like this is truly a miracle of modern technology. To imagine having done this 10, 15, 20 years ago is just mind boggling. But it still is limited versus sitting down in a conference room, hashing things out. Would you get done? Would you get done? You know, it's so easy just to walk across the hall and knock on someone's door and see where they're at with a
Kyle,
task.
is there supposed to
Now,
be
I'm
something
not looking
moving on there?
into.
Because we got a static page here.
Yes, yeah. Well, I'll go through a few additional things. Right now, it's just on
Okay.
this page. Yeah.
It looks like it's not moving. That's all. All right.
No, no, yeah,
All
no,
right.
yeah. Thank you,
All right.
though.
Full-blown project management here. There's a place for that. We've got other tools available. We're not gonna dig into that today. But just simply, where are you at with this task? Where are you at with that? You know, what's your progress been? When's the due date for it? It's tough. And I've seen folks try to do this with Excel spreadsheets, or maybe they do like a little daily update where folks kind of churn through things. And there's nothing wrong with these tools. But Microsoft has a really, really great tool built into 365 that I want to show you. It's called Planner. This is like a very advanced team shared task list. So we'll take a look at an example. We'll look at marketing 2020. Marketing in 2020. Ha, that's kind of a funny idea. So as you can see, we've not really done much with it ourselves, but it's good for me to give you an example. So at the beginning of the year, a couple things that we wanted to work on internally was we wanted to do a lot of research into Google AdWords. We have since put that on hold. However, we did have a lot of print materials that we wanted to get made, and we're actually in the process of mailing out a lot of those at the moment. So if I wanted to add a new task here for print materials, you see we created that bucket for it, and we can actually add as many buckets in here as we want and have as many tasks in here. So we'll add a new task, and we'll say prepare mailers for September 2020. I can set a due date here. I want all of those mailers finished by Monday, and we'll assign that to Darcy over here, and we'll add that task. Now, Darcy will get notifications, if we've enabled it previously, that she's got a task assigned to her. In addition, when she comes to Planner, it will show her all of her tasks. It'll show me all of my tasks across all of the very buckets of planners that we have. So it's just a fantastic way to assign those tasks when you leave one of these meetings, and everyone can keep up to date with it and just rock and roll. So we'll add a new one in here. We could add an additional task, and this will be something simple like get stamps. My gosh, stamps are so stinking expensive these days. I remember when they used to be 25 cents, but that's no more. So I really need to get stamps today. So we'll go ahead and assign this to myself here, and we'll add that task. Then we can come into the task, and we've got a lot of fun options available in here as well. We could say, when's the start date? Well, hey, I'm going to start that today. I got to get it done tomorrow. Here's some details, you know, avoid Kroger, because I usually buy my stamps at Kroger, but the lines, if I can type properly here, the lines are crazy because, you know, the hurricane's coming and everyone's got to stock up, probably stocking up on toilet paper again. Do I really need a checklist here? Maybe not, but maybe I could put some places to check. We can do the UPS store. We can do, let's see, just the post office as well, but try to avoid the post office. No particular reason, I just don't like going there. You know, I think even some CVS's sell stamps. So here's some places that I could check. This could also be a checklist for things that need to be done for that task. So almost as if it were a task within a task. So I could say I checked off all of these places. We got the stamps. Heck, I could add a picture to prove it. Of course, that's a little silly to add a picture you proved you got stamps, but for some things it could be valuable to put attachments in here. And when it's all said and done, I close it. No need to hit save. It saves automatically, and we can just keep trucking through here. I can go ahead and check this off when it's completed. It moves off to the completed bin, and we are good to go. So Planner is just a really fantastic tool. I really encourage you to explore it a lot. Just so many fun details of what can be put in here. Let me show you one additional feature. You can even copy a link to the task. So say you wanted to put an email to someone, hey, remember to get this task completed. It can't be any simpler. Another great tool that we use personally a lot here with Texas Quality Assurance is the bookings tool. This is fantastic when you are separated by large distances or just have a hard time communicating with folks. The bookings tool actually pulls directly from your Microsoft Outlook calendar and your availability, and it will allow you to book based on someone's availability. So I'll show you an example here. So if someone wanted to book some time with us, these are the public bookings that we have available. In addition, we have other private bookings that are that we can send out on a one-by-one link. But let's take a look here. So if we wanted to do a 30-minute QMS informational call, say someone's just interested in booking some time to talk with us for sales-related activities, right? And you can imagine all the possibilities of what else this could be to steal 30 minutes with someone. It could be a great tool for a manager to make it possible for their team to take time on their schedule. How many times do we email back and forth? Hey, do you have time on Tuesday at 2 o'clock? No, no, no. Thursday's free for me. Then the other person says, well, I'm out Thursday. I've got to take care of doctor's appointments for the kids or whatever it is. We have all these back and forths that are just kind of pointless. Well, it's easy. You just click, hey, I want a 30-minute informational call. Joey's our sales guy, so we're going to grab him on here. And now I can take a look at his schedule, and I can be like, okay, well, Friday, hey, it looks like Joey is free all day long. Same is true on Monday. So now I can just pick whatever time slot I want, punch my information in here, and book it. And what's even cooler with bookings is it can be set up very easily to send text message reminders that that meeting is coming up. So you make it near impossible for folks to forget or any of these different things. So again, it's just a really simple and easy to use, very fantastic tool. And what I love the most is that it integrates directly with that person's calendar. So we'll take a look at service request. This would be something I would handle, right? So someone's got a, say a tech support issue with one of their QMS softwares we might have deployed for them. So I'll be the first person that they talk to. So you can see here on August 31st, well, my only time slot's 3 p.m. I'm pretty booked the majority of the day. However, today, it looks like most of my schedule is wide open. So again, it's just a really, really fun tools, really easy to use. And we'll come over here to the internal bookings page. This is the external that everyone else sees, but here's the internal. And we could come and add as many tools as we need in here. So we'll start with, say, our staff. So we can add everyone in here that we might want available. We can assign whether or not they're a manager or an administrator on here. We can identify the services. Now you might see here, internal audit, we've got that on there, but it's not on our public page. That's because this one is not set. It's not set to be public. And we have our own internal link. So if we need to book one of our auditors for an audit, it's a really easy process to do. I don't have to ask our auditor to add it to the calendar. Our sales team can simply go in there, grab the auditor, pump it in for an internal audit, block out the day, and life's good. So it's a great way that we can all communicate and work collaboratively together, but we're not having to have 10,000 back and forth emails, pick up the phone, they're not answering it, just all of this normal mess that goes on. So like I say, even when we get back into the office working as normal, this will still be a fantastic tool for you and your team to utilize. As promised, we're going to take a look at Microsoft Forms. Again, great tool for working, especially in this environment. Plus, this is actually just a great tool to use in general. We've got clients that have used this for customer feedback, folks that have used this for gathering information after a training, kind of get the effectiveness of it, So let's take a look here. This is an example that we never really went very far with. This was early in our quarantine period, we were trying to get some information about what people thought about trainings, having it conducted remotely. We've offered this QMS boot camp before, and it was doing great before, no one could be in the same room as each other. So now we're trying to figure out how to do this remotely. So we created this questionnaire. So I'll go through this questionnaire with you a little bit. So this is using Microsoft Forms. Now, to be clear, this is not going to be the replacement for your inspection forms for your more technical documents. This is more of a quick way to gather information, to do polls, to do research. I've even used it before as a help desk tool. So when folks have a technical problem they need, they can just submit it straight through Microsoft Forms, and it gathers all the responses over here. And we'll take a look at that as well. But you can do a lot with this tool. It's really a lot of fun. So let's take a look here. We've got, you can click on it and it'll get you to the edit view. We've got the title here. We could even add a picture. Maybe we want to search for one, or maybe we want to upload one. So here we'll add this picture of these, the original Dr. Pepper Dublin bottling company. So that's kind of cool. All right, so we'll put that picture here in the header. Why? Because, this is Texas and we like Dr. Pepper. Okay, it looks like maybe that picture's a little bit big. It's taking too long to load. Bandwidth's kind of bad right now. But you can put some details in here. So telling the folks your responses are anonymous. We're conducting research to prepare for a whole new set of courses based on the QMS Bootcamp series. Again, you could put whatever information you need in here. We added some questions and we gave folks a choice. And we actually made this a multiple selection. So what areas are you more interested in learning about? So we've got all the different areas that they might be interested in. And see here, I added a couple of additional options just for fun. And it is as simple as just click the button and add an option. It really doesn't get simpler than this. And so maybe people are more interested in learning about cooking during a hurricane. I'm kind of interested in that, seeing as one's supposed to hit tonight. So you got all sorts of options in there. Maybe these are multiple options. Maybe they're only allowed to select one. So we'll leave it as multiple. Maybe this is a required question. Maybe it's not. So if it's required, they can't move on until they finish it. We had another question in here. This one is a single answer. Do you prefer online or in person? And so we give folks the choices they want there. Costs, kind of what are their opinions on it. And so it gave us a chance to really collect some good data. Fortunately for us, we didn't really push this out a whole lot, so we didn't get a lot of information from folks, but we did get some. And you see that it automatically charts it and graphs it and just makes it really, really amazing to look at and see. So here, it looks like of the 4 folks that filled this out, 3 of them said online is the way to go. Well, that's pretty cool. So cost, it looks like most people were happy paying a daily rate. That's also good information. Whereas someone else, they want it to be a subscription basis, good information. Someone else said, hey, my company pays for it. I don't really care. All right. But you get the idea. If you can gather just so much fun information so quickly. Same thing here with the freeform text. You can see all those text entries that they made. Just a really, really fun, easy to use tool that can help you get a lot of great information. And the last piece I'm going to show you on Forms is it's all exportable to, I'm certain, all of our favorite app, Microsoft Excel. Who doesn't love Excel that's in the quality management world? I know I do. So here we go. We can export everything to Excel and create some of the exact same charts and graphs we saw here, but with infinite detail of what we're interested in. If you know anything about me or Texas Quality Assurance, you know that we design and develop quality management software solutions inside Office 365, more specifically utilizing SharePoint as the backbone of the operation. Couple of reasons we love SharePoint so much, and these are the same reasons you're going to love it. Is first, it is the world's best, in my opinion, WYSIWYG tool. That's a new term for a lot of you probably, and that is what you see is what you get. Meaning, you can click the edit button here, and we can drag and drop to our heart's desire. We can add content with a click. Let's say I want a picture here. So we can pull up maybe some old pictures we've got. Here, I'll put this in here. We've got a 5-star rating on Capterra, so I just want to tell our folks about that again, right? So we can put all this information in here. Here you see we've got a link to our demo site, our help desk tool that folks can fill out. I even put a newsreel over here, and I love to use this newsreel too, especially to communicate to sales. When I see something that I think they should see, I make sure they see it. Heck, it even tells me how many times it's been viewed. Really, really cool. So we'll add a new link here. So maybe we want to add a new link. And, well, of course, we're going to go to the QMcast page for that link. We want to make sure everyone knows about the podcast that we host. I mean, that's just a given. So we'll make sure to put that link in here. And same as all other kind of social media type tools, it automatically populates a lot of the details for you. And, you know, maybe it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good at grabbing some good information. So we'll go ahead and post that up there for folks to see. Again, this is all internal. This is a great way to communicate with our team about what's going on. I have everyone on our team make sure that this is the home page on their browser, and life's good. You can see here that one of our guys put in more of a helpful article, right? So he wanted to make sure that folks understood that you could create a Teams meeting from within Outlook. So he put a few notes in here of how to do it. He put a couple of screenshots in here where you click, what you do. I mean, this is just really awesome and fantastic stuff. And the great part is you're probably already paying for the subscription to all of these services. And so this took him maybe 10 minutes to create, but my gosh, this is some great and helpful information that we can all keep and access on a regular basis. So a couple of the things that I love so much about the SharePoint platform. Another thing I love a lot about it, as I mentioned, we have the podcast. That's why I kind of threw that in there so I can show you this. We've got here our shared directories. So we've got our podcast directory here. Well, you know, I don't always have internet access. You know, we went on vacation recently and I actually edited a podcast episode from the road. And, you know, let me tell you, the cell phone signal at some parts in Louisiana is just not all that great. So, you know, how do you work on something where you don't have internet access? Well, that is where the wonders of OneDrive come into play, my friends. So we will take a look here at OneDrive, and you can see that I have previously synced.
All right, I am going to cut in there real quick because the screen recording tool that I used, I realized only records a single screen. So you'll see here, we've got this little kind of funky network icon, and that shows all of the information that I have synced from our SharePoint site. So here we've got that podcast directory, and you can see that it is the exact same as what we were looking at on our SharePoint site. So this way I have an offline copy of all of those offline files. But sometimes we've got a lot of information stored, you know, on the server, on the network share, in this case in SharePoint, and you don't necessarily want all of that data on your local computer. So we've got some fun options to tell it to always keep on this device, or perhaps to tell it to, you know, keep it on the cloud until we need to use it. So we've got a lot of fun options there. But the beautiful thing is that you can now have folks working offline pretty much as productively as they would be working online. And then when they get back in the office, OneDrive will automatically do the necessary work to sync it all up. And you can see here, these are actually copies of the presentation that we've been using today that it just recently synced back up. So I will keep this going here.
They could click that sync button as well, and they'll have an offline copy of those files. Another instance, this is really great, and we had this with one of our clients, is they often work, you know, 20, 30 miles from the last cell phone tower. This is a great way to have those files offline when they need them, and they get synced online when they get back to the office. One of the greatest apps that Microsoft has available is Teams. Now, Teams has a very long and weird evolution as to how it got here. But what I love about Teams is it brings all of these resources together under a single roof, as well as SharePoint does, but with a few additional features. Those additional features are obviously the chat feature that so many of us are accustomed to, and it's within chat you can make calls, audio calls, video calls. Heck, you can even integrate a traditional phone system through Microsoft Office 365 and have your phone numbers tied to a Teams account. Sounds weird, but it's all true. It's very interesting, fascinating tools that are available. But we personally use the chat feature all the time. Chat is the number one way that we communicate with the members of our team. We even communicate with some of our clients through Teams chat. It's just a lot more efficient than email. It's a lot easier to scroll up through that chat than it is to search and filter by name and look at the conversations. And so much of the text is duplicated in emails, and it's just simpler in a chat format. In addition, we have the option of linking tons of resources for folks. So we looked at that questionnaire earlier, right? Well, here's the questionnaire that we were taking a look at. Say I wanted this to be available to my team. You remember I mentioned how we've utilized this before for help desk tools, for entering in a service request. This would be a fantastic place to put that service request feature. See, your organization tracks your nonconformance reports through or corrective action reports through SharePoint. Link it in here. It's a great, easy way to do it. But this is good for so much more than just Microsoft tools. Take a look here at HubSpot. You remember we said that HubSpot is what we use for our sales tool, for CRM. We can link it right here so that I can log in. I can tell it remember me for the purpose of this demo. I told it to forget me. So we can log in here and we can have our HubSpot available through here. The point is you're not limited to strictly Office 365 tools. You can truly link your entire team together. And I'll tell you the number one reason, having been in IT and handled lots of different deployments, different types, from voice over IP phone systems, ERPs, office deployments, server rollouts, website redesigns, you name it. The number one reason the software deployments fail is user adoption. You could have the most amazing, fantastic, time-saving, wonderful tool, but if your users feel like it's complicated, they don't understand what's going on, they don't understand the benefits to them. Let me put emphasis on the benefits to them. Most people really don't care about the benefit to the company, and those few that do generally get promoted up to management. Everyone listening to this for ASQ, you're probably the ones that care about it for the whole company. You got to keep in mind, most folks, they just need benefit for themselves. Teams is a great tool to give them that benefit. People go bonkers trying to find what they need to do their job. Make it easy. Put it in one place. Between a good Teams rollout and a good SharePoint site, you're set. You have an easy to use, easy to access system that your team can rally behind and use and make good use of.
Oops. All right. Okay, sorry. Integrating the video into a PowerPoint is something that's a little bit new for me, so I still got a couple of kinks to work out there. I just put a little bit up here because the licensing on this stuff can get crazy, and I'm not selling it. I'm not making any profit if you do or don't purchase this. But I want to show you just how easy it really can be if you're not already on a 365 platform. If you are interested in getting on it to take advantage of some of these tools and resources. Is we're looking at here, this is for a Office 365 Business Standard. This was formerly known as Business Premium, and even before that, this was the volume license agreement that every systems administrator used to sign up for. It's $15 a month. You get, from 50 gigs on your mailbox, a terabyte in the cloud. The point is that you're going to have a hard time using up everything that you're given here. And it comes with so many of the standard features that we're used to, from your Outlook, OneDrive, which is, again, is just such a fantastic tool. All of your traditional stuff, SharePoint, Teams, Exchange, Publisher, even Access still comes with it. So it's a lot of great stuff to take a look at, and it's not very expensive to get into. I do have on this PowerPoint, I've put a few of the quick guides, resource guides on here that you can go to. They're all linked to the documents up on the Microsoft webpage. Definitely something to look into, especially if you already have these tools and you're wanting to learn more about it. So really, really good resources that don't cost you anything to go learn about. If you want to learn some more, of course, always please hit me up. I'm happy to chat with anyone about any of this. Obviously, this is something that I personally am fairly passionate about. If there's ever a chance to save a little bit of time during the day, that's my default to go to. So that is my spiel on a lot of the tools that are available to work more productively, from using Planner to plan the team, especially using these in conjunction with a video chat over Teams is great. The bookings tool to get time with folks, forums to gather information, and then SharePoint and OneDrive to store and share it. So if anyone has any questions, I guess now would be that time.
So Kyle, I see one typed in by Avitra. Avitra, you want to just unmute and go ahead and ask your question?
Yes. Hey, thank you for this great presentation. My question was, if we created a survey on the forms, can folks who do not have Microsoft Office access the survey?
Yes, absolutely. So once you create that form there, if I'm remembering correctly, there's a share button in the top right-hand corner, and you tell it to get that external share, and you can share it with anyone in the world. As long as they got a web browser, they're good.
So in my experience, I found that I shared the forms, and someone did not have, that's outside of my organization, they didn't have Outlook, and I think it was prompting them to create an account.
Gotcha. What you may have done, I mean, I can't speak to without having seen what you've got on there, but I'm happy to take a look maybe sometime tomorrow with you if you'd like. But what you may have done, and I've been guilty of it before, is just sharing that internal link that you had to that form. You have to specifically get that external link.
Got you. Okay, so maybe that's probably error on my end. I should have shared the external.
Yeah, because I've shared the internal myself before. I've made that exact mistake before. So you have to tell it to get that shareable link.
Sure.
Again, I wish I could tell you the exact verbiage it uses, but yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Hey, Kyle, before we go to the next one, can you stop sharing your screen so that we can actually get everybody?
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Now we can see everybody. All right.
Sorry.
Let's see. We got one from Ed Hall. Ed, please unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Okay.
Ed?
And am I hearable?
There you
right
are.
now?
Yes.
We can
Okay,
hear
very
you.
good. Now, I know, Kyle, that you said that you were not selling the Microsoft 360 subscription. That's for lack of a better word. But,
Right.
But just for my own information, was the price? It was the slide you had up showed like $15 per month. Was that for an individual license or a multi-user or what?
No, that is individual. As best I can recall, that lets you install it on 5 devices, though. So it's not like the old school license platform. So you can use that one license for your laptop, for your desktop, for your phone, for your tablet, and so forth. But it's for that single user. And they do have cheaper options available. They've got more expensive options available. I picked the one that we use internally because it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I certainly appreciate that, because you mentioned it old school, because it doesn't come a whole lot more old school than me myself. So I appreciate you explaining that.
Well, like I say, I used to be a sysadmin, and oh my gosh, the nightmare of keeping up with those license keys. I was so thrilled once we finally moved to the volume license packs, that even that was a nightmare to keep track of on the system. It just, to say that they have simplified the process is just such a massive understatement.
I hear you. The last thing I'll say on that is I feel your pain, because at my little 20-person company, I was the one who had to keep track of all those little discs. So
Yeah.
I never enjoyed that. I did it, but pardon me, the heck with that. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions? Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question, or type it in the chat. I'll go ahead and fill some time. Kyle, I had a question. We had
Yeah.
so we have Office 360 for most of our ASQ leadership team, but it's online. So every time that I get, and I bought a new computer, every time that I get on and try to use a Word document or whatever, it would tell me that I don't have Word and I have to actually subscribe. But yet I have the online version, so now I have to go online, log into that,
Yeah.
and then upload it, and then I finally can use it. It is such a pain.
There's probably one of three scenarios that we're looking at. The first scenario is there's a lot you can do unlicensed or with an unlicensed user account in 365. So you can actually go look at a SharePoint site. You can look at the docs. Provided users in that organization have licenses, you kind of get a read-only access to most stuff, which is we've utilized before. The second option, this is probably what's going on, is they're being cheap and paying for and it makes sense, just paying for the online only version, which is I think like $5 a month, unless if you pay it in advance. The third option is you just need to download the software so that license is tied to your computer. And you can do that by going to portal.office.com, that same initial page that I came up to. And in the top right-hand corner, there should be an install button for you. And you should be able to click that and download and install the software. So it's likely one of those three scenarios.
Yeah, it's the second one, because I did try to download it and it said that wasn't offered. So I had to actually go buy a whole new set if I want to use it.
Well, it's pretty easy though. Within that 365 is you can account whoever the admin is. They can simply exchange your license for a better license. They're probably using in all likelihood, the business basic. So they could purchase the business standard, kill your license of the business basic, assign that to you, and then in 5 minutes you're ready to go.
Okay.
It's less than a 5-minute long process. And I'll be able to help in any way, just let me know.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Laura, you typed in something. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks again, Kyle, for the presentation for everyone, and welcome.
Thank you.
So if you had to, or business had to make a decision not to continue the subscription, what are their options basically for the process? Simply.
We need to make a couple of assumptions here. So the first assumption is, do we have files, say, in OneDrive and SharePoint and information that you need to keep? And then the second is, what are you going to be doing to maintain, access to Word and Excel and all the common stuff that everyone else is going to send you? So if you have information on there already, they actually give you a kind of a grace period to get that stuff downloaded off of there. And you can reactivate the user accounts, I think, within 90 days. So even if you do remove your license, your data is still there if you need to go get it. You may have to reactivate one license for a month to go get it, but your data should still be there. Second is, if you completely ditch your 365 subscription and maybe you found like an old school CD of, maybe Office 2016 or something, that's still, pretty good. You can install that and you'd still be able to access all of your files with it. But it's kind of getting to the point now where it's darn near impossible to get Microsoft Office without a 365 account. When we first made the move to 365 in 2015, prior to that, when we would deploy the software, because that's how we got started in 2013, is by building quality management systems in SharePoint. And I don't mean this to be a sales pitch on here at all, just to kind of give you an idea of the journey that we went on. And we actually built everything on servers on my dining room table. So I would buy the copy of Microsoft Server, I'd buy the copy of SQL Server, I'd buy the copy of SharePoint, and we'd install everything on that physical server. Well, in 2015, we made the move to Office 365 because we were looking at a quarter of the cost. So I don't know if there would be a cost-effective way to go backwards. But technically, you could. Yeah, you could download everything.
Thanks.
One
Yeah,
point
I
on
recall
that.
those server rooms, and yeah, I never actually realized that you actually have to keep those rooms cool. And I remember those air conditionings used to go blazing,
Yes.
just to keep it air conditioning. So the cost savings is huge.
I had to set up an alarm system to alert me if our AC unit died. If our AC unit died, I would get a phone call, and I actually got a phone call. I don't remember what time. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. from whatever service we were using because the AC unit in the server room died. So I had to hightail it up there. So yeah, it's a mess.
Right. And even back in the day where everything was wired, so the whole building was wired. It was just,
Yep.
yeah, so much different now.
Oh
So,
gosh.
yeah, if you had to show somebody who's using this new system how the old system worked, they'd be
Oh
like, "What are
gosh.
you doing? Are you what? I have to like go up like 2 rooms,
Yeah.
to have servers, and I gotta
Yep.
pay for these servers, and I gotta cool them, and I gotta run all these wires to them."
Yeah.
So I appreciate you bringing that to light and
appreciate it.
how different the world is for that. Before we let everyone go, because we're almost at time, any other questions? We will find this presentation and send it to everybody. It looks like Eduardo, you have something to say.
Well,
Also,
yes, I have a question. Sorry. Yes, I have a question, but Kyle, regarding a little more regarding your podcast. And
Yeah.
so how is your experience after this? You have almost 2 years now with the podcast. Is there a good? Have you increased the? I don't know. I see the quality people. Sometimes we are so skeptical, or I don't know. We are not so. We don't click likes too often. So I don't know if you can share anything with us, or also if you can ask support from everybody here.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a whole lot of fun. We're actually doing so well with this that we've decided to launch a second podcast, and that was set to go off by the end of September, but we may have to push that out a little bit. But the Quality Matters podcast, we've got about 12,000 downloads already, not to mention probably another 2,000 off of YouTube and such. I think, just this month alone, we've almost got 1,000 already. So it's been really good. I think Darcy and I were looking at it yesterday. We've had, I think 55 ratings on iTunes, which is actually pretty good for most podcasts. So no, it's gone great. It's been a lot of fun. It's a great chance to force myself to kind of keep learning and exploring a little bit new territory. If you listen to the podcast, you know that we don't stick to the kind of standard manufacturing industrial type stuff. We go all over the place with it. But we're really, really passionate about the fact that a process approach can have amazing benefits in really any organization of any type, from police departments, school districts, to hospitals, and the traditional manufacturing. So it's been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Kyle. This is Billy Allier.
Eddie.
I joined a little late this meeting. I did have some time to join in. Some difficulties. But one question I have, we do use actually the 365 and Teams. We utilize that in our company. And the only question I have is how this tool, the Microsoft 365, can be used for visual auditing, and does have access, to LinkedIn through, for example, if you start the meeting on conference room, and can that be download on ISO, like iPhone or Android, as a tool? If it does, would need it do you have to just download the app? And can you, I mean, through the meeting or discontinue or any freezing, anything, can you continue that through the iPhone to do the floor auditing, the 365? And have you applied this in your facility?
Yes, that is a really good question, and in hindsight, I wish I had included that in the original presentation. Now, yeah, remote auditing. There's no doubt about it. Remote auditing is tough and it's weird for everyone. But I got to be honest with you. Any of you that have audited, you know, unfortunately, we spend a lot of time just kind of sitting in the conference room. So I have found that with teams, if you can do a little bit of research ahead of time about the folks that you need to talk to and have a real good opening meeting, explaining everything to everyone, while you're waiting on that one person to find whatever documents you're looking for, you can really easily ping whoever is in the department that you're going to be talking to later that day, and you can ask them to go ahead and start preparing some documentation for you. So if used well, Teams is more effective, and I kind of kills me to say this, but it is more effective than an in-person audit. For some operations, it's a little tough to take your phone and have someone, look at the parts for you, right? But I did do an audit earlier this year for they basically manufactured computers for video surveillance systems. And so we actually had someone go out into their production area with their phone, with the Teams app, flip the camera around, and I'm just telling them where to go, what I want to look at, and I'm taking screenshots as I go. And I was able to get all the information I needed for the audit. What I did find is very inefficient is having someone, do this number and hold a page up to the camera for you to see. So we have found that integrating a dedicated OneDrive directory for that audit is really efficient, because then they can just drag and drop files in there. And that, again, it's way more effective than asking them to hold that paper up to the camera for you to take a picture of. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and you do have to, because I never see the icon on the app. Do you have to download the icon on the iPhone?
Yes, you'll have to download it.
So it's better to connect through the app.
Yes, definitely, way better. And it really surprisingly works well. I very much, as much as I'm a computer geek and I love IT, I love being with people. I would much rather the in-person contact than the remote contact. But you can do a really good job with Teams if you just think out the audit plan a little bit extra ahead of time.
Usually, I mean, most of the technology they utilize is GoToMeeting. We do utilize the WebEx instead. Yep. And I never tried the chat feature or calling from 365. If you, I mean, how is the voice and the volume? I mean, it's clear.
Yeah, I was actually a late bloomer to Microsoft Teams, to be honest. I was very skeptical myself. I did this exact same thing. I used to use GoToMeeting. I loved GoToMeeting. I thought it was the greatest tool on earth until the COVID situation hit, and I actually started using Teams much more regularly. And I have since discontinued my subscription to WebEx, Zoom, and GoToMeeting. I'm sorry, and I use Teams almost exclusively now. Stuff like this is about the only thing I use Zoom for.
Okay, very good. I mean, I joined the 365. I do like it because basically, once you can create the file and you can work. All the teams at the same time. Yeah. And they have auto saving, so you don't lose any information. It's amazing.
I didn't even share that one in the meeting today, but that's another great feature. I was using that with our sales guy just recently. We're putting together an MSA for a new contract we've got, right? And so since that file is in SharePoint and we're accessing it through OneDrive, as I make changes, he sees the changes. As he makes changes, I see the changes. It's live as though we were sitting there at the same computer. It's just fantastic.
That's on real time. Yeah, I like that. And the other thing is, once you create those, I saw that you do have the option, which one you can save it that for a year or, temporary. But basically, what's your recommendation? Because those PowerPoint presentation are so huge. Should, I mean, if you don't need it or you replace or update it monthly, should you go back and delete it those, or is better to assign, I mean, the time as you create those files?
Oh, you've got darn near unlimited storage. I hardly ever tell anyone to delete anything. So, and also here's one great thing as well is if you turn on version control on the library that you're storing these files in, every single time you make a change to that file, it records a tick in the version history. So, and I have done this plenty of times, I'm sure many of you have as well. You're working on a file and you realize, oh, I should have just left it alone. It was fine this morning. None of what I just did was helpful. So you just go into the SharePoint library, you go to version history, and you tell it restore the version from 5 p.m. yesterday, because that was the last time this thing actually looked good. And then you can get your 5 p.m. yesterday version up and running. So with tools like that, it just doesn't make sense to delete things very often.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
All right, I see other people unmuted, so if you're ready to ask your question, go ahead. So.
Oh, I see one here. Someone know about the microphone I'm using. I wish I could actually tell you right now. I'll have to pull it up. When we started doing the podcast, I was very blessed, very fortunate to have a good relationship with Mark Licour of OGGN. And so he gave Darcy his shopping list that he uses for all of his mics. And so we just went and purchased off of his shopping list from his trial and error. But I'll see if I can find it. Just shoot me an email and I'll send that to you.
And other things that came in, people are making comments on your Longhorn back there.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. No, that was a friend of ours was gonna throw it away, and I was like, no, don't throw that away. It was all falling apart and just dirty and nasty looking. So I cleaned it up and painted it and urethaned it, and so now it's a fixture in our office.
So it wasn't a Texas head, I guess.
Oh no, it was old and nasty and falling apart. So
Cool.
me and my boys cleaned it up and had fun painting it, and so it's just a fixture now.
So you'll see there's a bunch of thank yous coming on. So one thing I did notice, Eduardo, you had links to our LinkedIn, our Facebook, and MyASQ. Can you somehow get that same information sent out to everybody when we give them the PDF or whatever we are of this presentation?
Oh, yes, good idea. Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm a quality professional, not a marketing. That's a good idea. Yes,
Come on, we all got to wear multiple hats these days.
right.
Yes, I know.
I also recorded this session so that if you want to make that available to everyone, you can do so as well. With that, if there are no more questions, we'd like to thank you, Kyle, for another great presentation. Thank you for everyone for their participation this month. And until next month, we'll see you.
Thank you. Had fun. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.